Okay, we will call the meeting to order. And I'm adding a couple things to our agenda at the end. Does anyone else have anything to add to the agenda? Okay. So our first item agenda is the welcome kit. This is just a carryover from last meeting. I did not know if we were pursuing that or the status of that. And I'm assuming the mayor may have some information. Remember, at the last, and I didn't know what the...
Can we put this to the end of the agenda and I'll go down and get that?
Oh, we actually have something.
We have something.
Oh, excellent.
I know we have, because I saw the draft. So that's why you were asking if Randy was coming. Be right back.
Okay.
We'll move on. Don't do the second item either, because I got information on that one too.
Well, and you're the third one, so we'll jump right over to 4.
All right.
Because I don't want to do the 2 I'm adding without him.
Do we pause the recording?
No.
Well, no, we'll just go down to 4, because which is an update of the public hearing on the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, so we did have our public hearing last Tuesday evening. We had 0 people in attendance providing testimony. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended that we move forward. However, we did receive a last-minute written comment from Fish and Wildlife, and they wanted us to address 3 items. So the Planning Commission recommendation is to move forward, but address the 3 items as the Planning Commission, or as the City Council considers the final draft of the plan. And so there was an issue of commenting on the possibility of sea level rise and addressing that in our development regulations for downtown. They wanted the connections theme to be extended to include connecting our areas of open space, so that there's a network of open space. And there's a third one there.
Incorporating the critical areas regulations into... Incorporating the critical areas regulations more specifically into the natural systems section.
Okay, and the critical area doesn't live in the...
It does not.
It's so just making more of a connection between this document and
the deadline for that is now June 30th of next year, so we're moving forward on that, but at a different schedule in terms of implementation. But we can beef up the policy language a little bit to address or to mention that.
So there were no public comments?
None.
No one in the audience, no public comments. Do you think we did an adequate outreach?
You know, we developed an email list from the beginning, and we sent notice to everybody who came to the initial visioning meetings.
My concern with that email list is only 125 people. And
is yours different? Is yours a different size one?
It has grown. Anybody who's come in
since
subsequent to its creation was added to that list, but we reached out to all of our stakeholders. We reached out to agencies.
And you also, I believe, put it out on the city Facebook, and it was on the city website.
And published in the newspaper.
And published in the newspaper. My concern with that initial list is I was on that initial list, not with my city email account, but my personal. And so I was getting all those notifications, but then that opened up a whole nother scheme of things with public records requests. So I had my name taken off of there. And now I'm not seeing those. So I would ask that you put all of the council's city emails on that distribution list.
Maybe as a CC, just so that we know that it's gone out.
And I think I've done that anyway when we've done a major release, when we put all of the comp plan elements on our website.
Okay.
I believe I sent the email to both you and to the Planning Commission, and we're actually going to have a revised version, hopefully put up this week as well, the council work study meeting draft.
Okay.
But what we can do, so when we adopt the ordinance, we're going to have a whole list of findings, and we can really clearly document all the steps that were taken for public outreach in the findings, so that when you adopt the ordinance, there's a reference to the outreach that was done.
Okay.
And we can be very specific about that.
I do also expect comments from the Sauvage tribe. Allison contacted me Friday and said, oops, I missed the deadline, but I'm sure you won't mind if I submit comments late. Like, no, that's fine, Allison. So,
okay.
Yeah. And I will say I did go to the Home Builders Association meeting on Thursday, and they made the comment that, you know, gee, we're really only focusing on the county's plan, what are the cities up to? We'd have to all quit our jobs in order to participate in all these processes.
Because I think that was one of the things that I noticed. I don't know in our comprehensive plan, the new one, that we're impacting anyone's property. We're not changing zoning. We're not making any major adjustments in that plan that will affect the economic value of someone's property.
Yeah.
They
we're-
are doing that at the county. And so I have been to a couple of county things, and they are well attended.
Yeah. Just to be clear, though, I mean, the new transportation element is very different than the old one in terms of what the potential cost of development is going to be related to our level of service standards. And now that we've clearly defined those, you know, there is an impact, but it only occurs when you go to develop something. It doesn't impact which I guess it may impact the existing value, but it doesn't. You don't realize that until you actually apply to do something. And so we've heard loud and clear from the community that they want sidewalks extended into existing parts of the community, and the new standard for level of service is that you're either going to pass or you're going to fail based on whether your proposal includes sidewalks to allow people to walk to the nearest arterial in a given project, depending on the size of the project. It could be just sidewalks, it could be half-street improvements, depending on what it is that you're looking at.
So it doesn't matter the distance? Is there a distance limit on that?
No, and it may actually not be the nearest arterial, it's the nearest higher order of street.
Okay, so my question with that, is that citywide or is that just within our centers?
It's citywide,
Citywide.
yeah. So we
Because,
have,
okay, and we can discuss this when we discuss the comp plan, or I guess
Yeah.
while we're waiting for Rob to come back. But in McCormick Woods, they don't have sidewalks.
they have a special, McCormick Woods is different than everywhere else because they have their road standards and a development agreement. And they
Okay.
already have concurrency.
Okay, but what I'm saying is they don't have sidewalks, but I prefer to walk up there than on our sidewalks.
Yeah.
No, because it's.
Why is that?
They're wider, and the traffic there is,
Or calm?
yes, I think the speed limit is maybe 35, maybe 25, but the traffic is, calm is a good word, it's just not as active.
The car insurance rates in that part of town are probably lower than in other parts of town.
I'm gonna move there.
So anyway, it's, because I used to walk all over Port Orchard, and then I discovered McCormick Woods, and I thought, wow, yeah, I'd rather walk up there. So,
So anyway, I guess the good news is the planning commission, felt good about things, and I think we documented we'd had 5 public hearings on one element or another, including the final public hearing, plus the vision meetings, the surveys that we sent out. The only item that generated any interest among the public was Paul Powers Park, and other than that, we really haven't had feedback other than on the front end of saying this is what we want, the vision to be for the future.
Complex issue. For somebody new like me to get in and learn this, it's just like jumping into a fast-moving stream, learning how to swim. And for you have to cover the extreme details. Every I dotted T crossed.
We're on 4.
yeah, we just
Yeah.
went to 4
Wow.
because
A lot of work.
you were involved with the first 3.
Okay. Any other questions about that?
No,
Can we work backwards and go to 3 because it's more fun than the others?
Sure.
okay,
Are we done with 4?
yeah.
So hopefully everybody knows there's a task force with the county, and then when we're trying to get forth to participate too, for waters trails from a tourism draw. And we talked at the last meeting too about creating another subcommittee with the county for bicycle trails.
Oh, no, I didn't know about that.
Well, because we just
Okay.
talked about it last, it hasn't happened yet. We
Okay.
said, if we're doing this for water trails.
Oh,
why
at
aren't we-
this meeting,
At this
Okay,
meeting,
okay.
why aren't we doing this for bicycles?
okay.
And making, and publishing our, the best bike
Right.
routes around
Right.
where there's
Right.
shoulders. And,
Right.
So we talked about, so if you go to your packet, we talked about prioritizing
The only two in Port Orchard right now that are, we want to get signs like this on the ones. Ones are a number one site. It's you can park there, you can launch your kayak or your small boat, rope, canoe or whatever. Which in the ones in Port Orchard would be the boat launch, and the Marina Parks. Obviously, we're going to get the port. Jim couldn't make the meeting, so this sign will have our new bug on it, and the Port of Bremerton's logo on it, and then most likely in small print, in a small font, where you are.
And the chamber invited me to represent them at that meeting, and then I couldn't make it. And my comment on that was, Water Street, my comment on all of it is, are they also doing some sort of paper?
It's a website.
It's a website. So
There currently is a trifold piece. I have one at home.
Right.
I can't remember
Yeah.
where my wife picked it up somewhere.
Okay.
And yes, they're updating that, making it better, and a website.
What I think is important that be on the website or on that paper, because you need it before you get to a site. Some of those, such as the Marina Park, and when you get to like the West Bay Beach, when you get to these, because I am a kayaker, there needs to be an asterisk, and people need to know that those are tide dependent. Because if you're kayaking and you know that there's a site coming up where you can get out of your boat, and then you get there and it's...
The boat launch isn't tide dependent, though.
No, but some of these
West, you're right. West Bay is, because
Bay
of
is.
at extreme
And I
low
think-
tides. It's a
500
can't-
feet out.
yeah, it's a seaweed bed.
Right, and I'm not sure about the Marina Park.
It's
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I haven't
Yeah.
tried to launch
I
them.
wouldn't, because I like other spots better, but
Correct.
when the one they thought that when we changed it, Annapolis there, they had as a one. I said, it's a great parking lot. I said, but there's all this barnacle covered riprap all over the beach. I said, we've launched there one time. I said, if you're not careful, you'll ruin your kayak. And I said, it's a great Boy
But-
Scout project to clean up the beach.
But
and
I
then-
really think, again, from a kayaker, I would rather launch from Annapolis than Marina Park.
Okay.
Just because of access to getting your boat there and back. But it doesn't make any difference. But if you're in your boat and you've got a piece and you think you're going to stop at these places, Marina Park is not always one place you're going to be able to. When the tide's in, it's up over the steps, and you won't even be able to get your boat out.
So we're talking about people bringing their
Kayaks
over
or their
over the
canoes.
steps of the Marina Park?
Yeah.
Well, if it's high tide, that's what you have
Yeah,
to do.
you've got parking right there.
Yeah.
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 I mean, some of these locations they have, or flipping in there in the county,
Right.
they've got quarter-mile hike, and I said, you're nuts. I said, I'm not packing, I said, my buddy and I might pack our kayaks that far, maybe, but I said, my wife, I'm not gonna get her on the other end of the
But the
tide.
other thing that is important is getting in and out, is just being able to get out of your boat and stretch.
Yes.
That's the thing that I thought was important. And then, in case Fred and Clancy aren't aware of it, the Peninsula Water Trails, Patty Graff Hoke and this committee has done a lot of work on it, and we're part of the National Water Trails. And so that was a big deal. That took a great effort to become part of the National Water Trails. And so it's something that really is economically important to us
The chamber got hotel motel money
to do this.
to do this, to these signs, so we just gotta have the signs
It's a
made.
cool idea.
Yeah, and so the two that need to go up right away are the two ones there. They need to get Bob Hampton's permission at West Bay. And I think a better beach actually at Annapolis than the Kitsap Transit parking lot is actually Rob McGee's beach. It's sandy.
Yeah.
And I told them that they gotta get his permission, and they were sensitive to putting business names on it. And I'm going, well, he owns the beach.
Yeah, so what are you gonna do? Well, let me ask you a quick question. the transient dock at the marina, wouldn't that be one of the first places? It's always dependable because the tide.
No,
is higher,
because-
though.
You mean
You
112?
You talking about 112?
Yes.
Yeah, but you don't want to, have you ever tried to pack your, it'd be like
Oh, packing it up, yeah, okay.
packing it in the same way DeKalb Pier's on here too, but it's not a one because
Yeah.
you don't want, taking your kayak down a gangway isn't fun.
Yeah, but
Don't you have
again,
wheels?
think,
But you
think
can.
Of, think of it if you've paddled here from East Bremerton. You can go to the DeKalb Pier, you can tie up. It's a little harder getting in and out of your boat off a dock. I personally prefer it to the beach launch, but.
You do?
Yeah, because I used to kayak off my boat, and I just got used to doing that. It depends upon the dock. Some of the docks, like the marina here, has that really high,
Yeah.
Well,
but
and
what
your
do
rental places, you get in and out off the dock. So,
Right.
so anyway, the long and the short of it is, we're gonna get these
Perfect.
these two signs up as soon as possible. There's money for them. We thought they were great.
oh, they are.
And as soon as we get the Rockwell property acquired and an access point to it next year, obviously, that'll be a one right there.
Exactly.
We got
Yeah. Yeah. So that's real cool stuff.
I got my packet, grabbed the wrong packet today, but I looked on the map that you printed. I could not tell where these trails were.
Well, the map is county-wide and it's actually really busy.
Yeah.
Online, you're gonna be able to zoom into it, they'll have pictures, so if you're on your smartphone, which I don't recommend taking, my wife ruined smartphone kayaking, but.
Ziploc bags.
Otterbox, saltwater
What's
is,
that? Well, I've got an otter.
yeah, she did,
But it's a protected one, there's a waterproof one.
yeah,
Oh, didn't know.
saltwater's horrible.
Did you even get another floatable?
But anyway, so that's coming.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's a great thing, and I'm happy that we're a part of it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. I just wonder, we talked about this before, but very briefly, is there a plan to connect these?
Yeah, it's a water trail. and
They
so
already are.
and what it'll do,
Well, I'm new, I'm a little bit new.
Well, I mean, they're in the water. I
Oh,
mean.
it's a water trail. You're never, not on the ground.
I'm thinking like the.
No, the water, it's 2 points, and the map actually, the numbers represent
It's
distance.
Yeah.
The numbers represent
I'm
distance.
on board now.
So they're like, A1,
Sorry.
Were we
I'm
gonna
posing
pave
myself
it?
now.
it's tough to paddle on.
I thought you weren't talking about paving or anything, now this is great.
There wasn't a lot of money
I'm
involved.
okay now.
map that the Port of Bremerton has on their, I think the bathroom area.
I haven't seen it.
Because that has a map of kid stuff, and the numbering convention is very confusing.
And it is until they explain it to you, and it's a letter and a number designation, and the number represents the distance between the 2 points, so that you know how far you're trying to paddle to, so that next marker might be farther than you're capable of paddling. So
It may be a
Is
different
it
map.
miles or?
it is in miles,
No,
yes.
the one I'm thinking of, it has sort of identification numbers, but when you look at it, they don't seem to follow logically in terms of left to right, north to south, in terms of the placement.
I haven't seen them. I just saw the one the county has.
Okay. Yeah,
And
I think it's a different
the
map.
one the county has is busy in paper because there's so many points on it. I'm told when you look at it online, you can zoom it and manipulate it, and it isn't.
Yeah, is this the, John Kuntz from the kayak shop in Port Gamble put together the numbering system.
Okay.
And he did, and it's in here. Yeah.
Okay.
And anyway, John did, I thought, a nice job with it.
Yeah, and once they explain, because I was questioning
Right.
the numbering system too.
Okay.
I go, why does it jump from 1 to 3 and then to,
Okay.
5 and then 7, and it's because the distances between the points.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm done. I think.
Okay, okay. So we're gonna get 2 signs up right away, and as soon as we get Rockwell done, that'll go up. And we're actively, what the important piece is that we're actively engaged now with that with the county's effort on the water trails.
Water trail.
And-
Yeah.
Yes, and there is a desire to put a similar committee together for bicycles.
And I think that would
Like
be,
as a market, biking in Kitsap County.
That's what it's referring to.
yeah.
Yeah,
I would be
that
very-
one might have blacktop on it.
I have a feeling this is gonna come up in the future.
And I would be supportive of that bicycle one. I
Oh,
think that's an
yeah.
important piece.
I lived over in Sammamish. There was a big fight. There's a railroad track along east side of Lake Sammamish. And it was like 12, 13 miles long. It was a critical connection between Issaquah and Redmond, and then a bunch of other trails. And the difference that makes. Big fight when we got done, it was just, I mean, it's incredible. You can go for miles and miles and miles, like 35, 40 miles on these, all the way from Woodinville to, I think now we can almost make it to Kent.
I don't know if you're familiar, there are two trails that are very impressive to me, and one that we could really take note of is the Cushman Trail in Gig Harbor. Gig Harbor has done an exceptional job with their Cushman Trail. But the other one that is regionally a real economic driver is the Discovery Trail. And if you haven't been on that one, Clancy, you can go from, well, I start on it at the Sklallam Jamestown Tribe Center, and you can go all the way to Port Angeles on it.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's really nice, and they need to connect it to Port Townsend into the bridge, and I think they're working on that.
Yeah,
But
getting
that's
the
been
whole Kitsap area.
that's been yeah, and that's part of the transportation element that Bainbridge Island is working on, is getting the bike path from Winslow to, out of, across the island and all the way to the Hood Canal Bridge over 305. So, those are real economic drivers
Oh, yeah.
that are
Traction.
important, yeah.
Good.
Do you want to go into the welcome commit since?
So, sorry, I didn't realize you guys didn't have these. I would have. And so what you have, this is a draft, obviously, and cover an table of contents, a welcome letter. Page 5 is emails and phone numbers, council members and myself. Got city functions on the next page, on page 6. Page 7 is a little background on the community profile. Page 8 is
Check your medium household income. That's different than we have in our comp plan. And I think what we have, the one we have in the comp plan is 48 something, and the one I found on a website is 63, but that may be South Kitsap and not just Port Orchard.
Do you want to confirm that number and get with the one that's the keeper of this document right now?
Yeah.
The next page, page 8, is local media and and groups. We started getting that bigger, and then we started. Where do you
Yeah.
draw the line? And
Yeah.
so we kept it a little smaller. Got a map. And then we tossed in there, we thought right now it's relevant, the foot ferries. So we got a little flyer on the foot ferries, chimes and lights. And then we've got the most current city newsletter. It's the last document that is attached.
Good job.
So you would just print these when we get new businesses, so that the newsletter will be,
Current, because actually it's 2 documents. All of this marketing stuff
is one.
is a separate PDF, because
Okay.
extended foot ferry and chimes and lights is could be dated information.
Correct.
You insert those ones.
And that's what took so long, is we were down there collating and putting them together, because we printed these, and then we had to put the other piece to it.
That's good. I
So,
really like that.
couldn't need,
Yeah, no, this is excellent, and, so what do we have to do to start handing them out?
well, you want a moment? Well, we want to confirm some data.
Right.
And I see a font here, well,
Whether,
Welcome, I guess I welcome the letter.
Yeah, the description of the departments, I hadn't seen the description yet, so I have a couple of edits to that, and maybe
Yeah.
we should let the other department heads.
the map needs to be turned upside down.
What?
Turn the map.
Yeah.
Well, the map and
orientation.
the
Well-
one, and the piece behind it are printed opposite.
Okay.
Oh,
This is upside down.
so we just need to rotate that 90?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rotate the map 90?
Well, however
Or
they
108.
need to do it, it just needs to
Yeah.
fold right.
It didn't. It's probably fine on her computer. It's when the computer did front to back.
So would you like us to review these and then just
Provide
send you
comment.
any comment? And then, is the committee good with moving forward? Once the,
And the thought was, we started to include, started down the path, we were gonna include the chamber stuff in here, and we thought, no, this is a city resource. If Matt and I are together, when we do this, like we talked, that Matt would have his own handout and his resources, and this is the city's resource. We did whole new business license, and there really wasn't much there in the first quarter. There was a lot, but it was a lot of home-based stuff. So then we went to the sign permits, and it was really just relocated, businesses relocating or different signs. I didn't see,
I can appreciate some of the larger employers or larger businesses hand delivering this. I think
Yes.
that's a nice welcome touch. But those home-based businesses need the same information, so could we mail it to them?
yeah.
Or
How about just a
email
letter,
website.
Yeah.
in addition for
With just a little
home-based
cover
business
letter?
to have a letter welcoming.
yeah.
and
There we
all
go.
Sign it.
There we go. I like that, mailing it to his home-based businesses.
Yeah.
It's
You
a
know,
little wonky.
with the letter that you've personally signed,
Okay.
you know.
I can think of two other things that need to be on here. Permits for electric are L&I, and so listing L&I as a resource for getting those types of
Okay,
permits.
that's a good idea. Good point.
And, I don't know, I suppose the trigger for this is somebody applies for a business license. I mean, how,
Well, no, this isn't so much that. The trigger for this is they've opened their business.
Okay.
And we're gonna go visit them and welcome them.
I just wasn't sure if we would ever hand this to somebody who is considering opening a business and providing the information on how to get a business license in this document as well, including at the state.
I think that's a good idea, in
Well-
that if someone called the city and say, how do we do this? You're going to direct them to wherever they need to go, and then perhaps you could mail them
Well,
one.
this is a document too that Matt could have. He takes more of those phone
you
calls
do.
than we do. The Chamber of Commerce, hey, I'm considering, moving to your community. I've got, maybe they've got a business
Right.
and they're, might
Right.
be infrequent, but Matt might have an
Right.
opportunity to send these.
Consider taking some of the elements of that and changing them for introduction to our city, as opposed to you've already opened your business, you want ribbon cutting ceremony.
Yeah.
A lot of that information would be relevant, just the introduction might be changed, and you have to use the same materials. It's a good, that's good.
I think it's actually useful for the residents. All of this would be helpful. The thing that I think would also help is if there could be an index, and that's not the word I want to use, but for example, when they're looking at the contacts, they have to figure out the department and figure out what it is they need. If we had, for example, lists that frequently ask for items and then refer them to the department, it might save them a little.
Well, what I could see is us taking on the cover, taking new business, and it's just a welcome
Yeah,
pack,
just welcome packet.
and it's on the website.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because you could get too busy, they're gonna look at it and go,
And
I'm
so
opening a
somebody
business at
looking
a
into our
time.
community can just
Yeah.
grab this information.
Yeah. I think welcome to this very generic. Did you want to include the utilities that they would need to set up accounts with, like PSE?
I was just thinking natural gas
Yeah.
specifically.
It could be on the
Okay.
local contacts page.
Probably Wade.
Yeah.
as well, yeah.
Under the council member's name, would it be worthwhile to list the committee.
I think
Smiling
I
face.
think
You're getting way too detailed.
Yeah, too much information. You know, no, the average citizen probably doesn't care what committees is chair.
Do you want to put that the council meets on the second and fourth Tuesday?
Or at least a reference to the council website where they can see the committees that we're on and the meetings.
The city website is on there, but
I mean, on that page,
yeah.
like the council page.
Oh, yeah, at the bottom there just could be just the verbiage, the council meets the second and fourth
Yeah, I know.
Tuesdays,
The planning commission is the second or the first.
something, yeah. I think that could be incorporated in there
The
easily.
council members should be alphabetical, either by last name or first name. Oh, is this?
They're in there by
is it
position.
Position number?
Yeah.
Who's on top?
Sean.
Sean.
Oh, I wasn't gonna say it was
Then
by
maybe it should
likability,
have,
but.
then maybe it should have a number.
Thanks, I'm at the bottom.
If you guys were in the top three, I was gonna tell you it was by likability.
I think it should be alphabetical, because no one's gonna care about position number, especially if we're not listing position number here. They're gonna say, what sort of haphazard?
Again, I think.
We don't understand
don't care.
the order unless you put the position number. I would recommend.
I didn't create it. It was alphabetical or position number.
Yeah. We think it is position number, but it doesn't make
It
sense.
is
Sean slid me
position.
$10 and got it first.
We just,
Who's up for reelection first?
I don't know that there was any rhyme or reason.
But it is position number.
Is it position
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
unless
I'm
they
sure
put the
it
number
comes-
there, it doesn't make sense to anyone looking at it. They're gonna go like.
Position, yeah, because I was position 3. Yeah, here it is position 3.
Yeah,
Let's see, look.
yeah, yeah. So
So what's the preference, that we put the position numbers?
I'd do
Or-
alphabetical. Most people are not gonna care about the position number.
Okay, so that means I get all the calls.
yep,
Oh, that's why
you will be most likable and most popular.
That's why you didn't want it.
Yep, thanks to Mr. Bond.
Okay.
It doesn't make
Leave
any
me, change
difference.
your name. Zashby.
I am, I'm very pleased that we brought this up at our last meeting and we already have
Yeah,
something
this
that
is nice. This is
will be
good.
ready to
Yeah.
start.
I can tell you firsthand how city presence
Yeah.
at a grand opening really made a difference. We went to the Safeway grand opening a week and a half ago, and I had the Safeway manager there. It was about 8 in the morning, we got there at 8:45. That parking lot was packed. I had to park almost up to the gas station to get in, and it remained that way most of the week.
It has been packed, and I'm actually worried about the traffic getting back onto Bethel from there. That is a pain. Just
So we-
exiting onto
Well,
Bethel.
that'll be part of our redesign process.
Because,
We, I met the manager, I talked to him on the phone before, I met the store manager. They had some Safeway management there from their headquarters over in Bellevue. And I can tell you that people were excited. People that work there were excited.
Yeah.
The customers were excited. One woman told me that she canceled her doctor's appointment to make that grand opening. So it was a big deal. They blew the doors off all other grand openings that have in this conversion. All of them. Port Orchard is number 1. I just talked to them 2 days ago, so, and they were impressed.
Next steps with this, so are you guys getting your edits to
Yeah.
whom? To
Sounds like Janine.
Janine?
I would- is Janine- is
the
Janine.
Yeah, Jean's one that's been working on this.
do you have a?
And we need a time deadline.
Yeah.
Well, we'd like to bring this back for final adoption at your guys',
We should get her our comments by the end of the week.
That's what I was
So it's
thinking.
fresh, otherwise you're gonna set it aside and be done.
Yeah, I gotta go down and do this right after the meeting, so.
How about Friday the 13th?
So to the end of the week,
The end of the week, and that also allows us to introduce it to the rest of the council tomorrow evening and,
not tomorrow, because you won't have your edits in.
no, but if they want
Let
edits.
them know that there's a.
Okay. I'd almost prefer to make the edits and then give it to the rest of the council.
Okay,
Because otherwise we'll
fine.
get the same comments
Okay, I'm good with that.
5
Can you put
times.
it on the work study agenda for a real
Yeah.
short item and just,
Yeah.
we can make our edits and then hand it to them and see if there's any other.
Yeah, just tell
comments.
them it exists and they'll see it at the work study.
Yeah, let's get our edits in first, and then we'll bring it for a 5-minute discussion.
Yeah.
that'll turn into 20.
Yeah, I don't think that there's much to talk
We should
about.
shrink a packet so it's customized for mobile.
I think if you want to keep it to 5, don't send it out in a packet, hand it to them at the meeting.
And
Say,
and
"This
it
is
add,
your
and
homework."
add it at the end of the
Yeah,
meeting.
this is homework, not, this is a discussion item.
Wow, that's devious.
We will go on to, we'll let the mayor figure out how he's going to present it to the rest of the council after the edits are done. And we'll go on to the sidewalk right-of-way uses. And I had this put onto the agenda because we've talked about it off and on all winter. And I was just wondering the status of that. We've got one business downtown that is regularly putting,
More than one.
yeah, but there's one that I really notice, you know, where the light is. And so the business just directly behind the bike store, there's like a bulb out there, and he's not putting things on the sidewalk, he's putting it on that bulb out portion. And I checked, and there's not a parking place there, but there's a lot of stuff there. And we need, whatever the policy's gonna be,
Yeah.
we need it, and we need to enforce it.
Yeah, and I requested that again on Thursday, and I'm supposed to have it next week.
Okay.
I will continue pursuing that, but there's a lot of things in the attorney's office right now.
Oh, no, I can appreciate that. And in the meantime, we're just ignoring or, yeah.
Well, if it's at the corner in a bulb out, that's a site visibility issue, and so something that's higher than 18 inches, that's a public works safety
Did
thing
you take a
that
picture?
they would
I
enforce.
saw that Saturday what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, no, it's been
I
there
didn't
for
think to take a
several
picture.
weeks, and
Okay.
they've got lots of display there.
I'll let Mark know of that issue, and so it's at Sydney and Bay, roughly?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the
next to, between the VFW
southwest
and the bike
corner.
shop.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of glass stuff. When I saw it, it was a lot of glass items. I don't know.
Okay.
So we hope to have that by next month, or are we gonna bring it?
That's what I'm aiming for. I've sent a few reminders on it, so, yeah, we'll try to have it next month as long as we get it, so.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to prioritize our attorney's work.
Sharon's aware of it now.
Yeah.
It's just that
Yeah.
Sharon's our attorney, Sarah does the land use stuff, and it's just,
Yeah, I don't want this committee to be prioritizing, I just want to make sure we
It's
don't
been,
give this
it's been around
lost.
long enough that it needs to be.
Yeah.
done.
We can go, like I said, I have 2 items that I want to bring up that are fairly quick, but do we still want to go to 5 to the tax abatement?
You're the chair.
Okay, let's do tax abatement. Let's go down that order.
Okay, so we just got this draft back this morning. It is based on Bremerton's tax abatement code and essentially allows the city to approve tax abatement for a number of years so that if somebody builds a project that is multifamily in one of our designated areas, which we would have to designate on a map, they can apply and have the property tax not be reassessed for a number of years. And we're able to, depending on the type of project and what they apply for, it could be 8 to 12 years, except that council can also call this back anytime they want if they determine that it's needed or if the project isn't what was initially promised. So the code that was returned to us has sort of been adapted, like I said, from Bremerton's code. The key things that we would have to do, and I started on a map with just markers and a zoning map trying to identify the areas where we might want this to apply. So we should, if this is something that the committee or the council wants to pursue, we should talk about where it's going to apply. And then,
Nick, is this only for multifamily?
yes,
I thought we were doing it for some reason I thought we were doing it for,
the law only allows it for multifamily.
Yeah.
okay.
One of the variables that we can adjust is Bremerton says it has to be for a project of at least 10 units. It doesn't have to be. It can be as few as 4, I believe.
can it be a mixed,
It can be mixed use.
It can be mixed use.
Yes,
So,
as long as there is a
Okay.
multifamily
component
component
to it, yes, okay.
Could we limit ours only to mixed use?
I
Uh,
wouldn't want to do that.
If we wanted to.
The abatement too will only apply to the multifamily portion of it. It won't apply to the whole mixed use development. So they'll still only get the credit
Okay,
for the
for that
units
portion
themselves.
is okay.
Yeah.
And it's typically affordable housing.
Mhm.
You get more years if it's affordable housing and it meets the criteria. I think it,
Because I see 8 years and 12 years.
yeah, I think the 8 years can be for multifamily housing in an area that is designated as needing redevelopment.
Right, but it doesn't have to be low income or affordable.
Yes.
We can just offer a better benefit if there is affordable housing.
12 years.
So is that tax considered deferred, or it's just that they're
No,
not
it's
paying it
not
for
de-
8 to 12 years?
They're paying their taxes, but
Not the new
the
reassessment.
valuation
Right.
on the property is not being adjusted.
So we continue to get exactly what we're getting today. We just don't get the gain on what the investment that they make in our community.
So and I don't want to say this in a negative way, but I don't know the words, the vocabulary says. So is the tax burden being dispersed the normal way that it would be, since
Yes,
they're not being
because-
because it's countywide though, it's not just everyone else in the city that's assuming that.
But
There's
And
no,
that's not the word I want to use.
there's no
Well,
burden.
I mean, if there may be a
This
very
is-
small, I mean, if you had a project with 300 units that came in,
Mhm.
and let's say that puts an added demand on police, is it something that you can really quantify, or do you need to hire another officer? Not necessarily, but, you know,
I think
there are
what-
more citizens, but they're,
Well, what I mean is
I
that
think
their
what
tax would
Fred's,
be reassessed.
what Fred is thinking about is, like, I can't remember her name, up on,
Yeah, Melcher or something.
Melcher, right, who came to us and we gave her a tax something or other. And so her tax remained, the rest of us had to pick up her taxes.
gotcha.
And this is not what we're talking about.
Okay.
We're talking about, let's just talk about West Bay Center.
Mm-hmm.
There's a certain amount of real estate taxes that are associated with West Bay Center now. If that is developed with this, we still get those same exact amount of taxes for the 8 to 12
years,
years. And then after that, it's reassessed,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
And so
there's no
the,
net change to basically.
Right.
So if it's mixed
Okay.
use, they would only adjust it to add the commercial component to the mixed use, but not the residential. So
Correct.
they would have a slight increase in tax.
The
And-
reason we want to do this is that we're getting housing units, affordable housing units, we're getting commercial activity, we're redeveloping in areas that we want to encourage redevelopment. I don't believe we're going to want to put this tool in place on the west side of town where we're growing faster than we can keep up.
You're getting impact fees
So
as
when we're
well.
getting impact fee, we're getting traffic impact fees too, and park impact fees
And
and
school
school impact fees. It's just the property tax is held at its current level for a period of time.
and then the other thing, because it is a multifamily structure, people will be living there and they will be participating in our local economy. So there's a great
No, I see
benefit
the
there.
pros. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about.
Are you getting sales tax, utility tax
This
from
could be
those
useful for
residents?
infill.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what, that's exactly,
Infill and redevelopment.
Okay.
that's,
So those are the two.
right.
That's a good segue to the map, actually. So Ellen and I had looked at the zoning map for where we have multifamily commercial property, and essentially, the areas that we've outlined in black are both in our local centers and have the zoning that would allow for mixed use or multifamily housing. And so this is what we proposed: is the Kmart site up on Mile Hill and a couple properties around that. The area, there's some storage units kind of along Retzel there that potentially that whole area could redevelop. There's a lot of things at Kitsap Mall.
Mm-hmm.
Where,
Kitsap Mall?
Yeah, South Kitsap Mall, where it could have it.
Now, just and you may not know this. Is this Rick Garing's property behind that he's been trying to sell?
The multifamily?
Uh-huh, he's been trying to sell, he's got property
Yeah, I
back
think
there, it's been for sale for a long time, and it's multifamily.
I
Yeah.
think that's it, yes. So really, we're looking at the Bethel corridor to the north of Lund, where multifamily is allowed, and then some of Mile Hill, and then the downtown.
Do we want multifamily on it? I mean, I guess maybe pockets of it in this.
I think that you're not gonna have a whole lot of people who see that as the highest and best use, but the reality is that's a transit corridor, and so people who need affordable housing, that's a place where they can live and have access to
I
transit.
think it's part of Bethel too, but we probably don't need
It's
to
not
live there.
next to the city.
I think since
Yeah,
you have
it's-
larger,
Fred, beyond Fred Meyer. Oh, Kmart is.
Kmart,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, that, so.
Walmart,
2001
I'm sorry, Walmart.
Yeah, we're
Most of
talking,
that is vacant, and you have big properties, big pieces of property that are maybe easier to develop.
one of the things,
Redevelopment.
when you look at this, I don't see any land there that we're gonna be able to put a box store on.
Mhm.
I mean,
Right.
when
We're-
I think
We're
of
out here
that,
where Fred was referring
Yeah.
to. That's a box store
Yeah.
site.
But I'd like them to put apartments on top of the box stores.
well, yeah, but regardless, I don't know that that's where we need to do the tax abatement.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're trying to we're trying to focus development where we're not getting it.
Well, and again, you're talking multifamily, so you want it close to,
Transit.
transit.
Mhm.
And you need it close to other,
Parks and schools. And
facilities, right, for people. Yeah,
so,
I think this is a good start.
I do too.
so I don't know if there's any other areas that you would want to add into this. I mean, the Tremont corridor is mostly developed. I could see maybe one or two sites up off of Tremont or Sydney to the north of 16, but
I believe our Tremont corridor, when it's built out, will be hopefully enough of a catalyst to create the medical professional community that we want.
Correct.
we're giving a pretty good incentive by building that roadway.
The other thing about Tremont is that is really, you really want to move people through there. I mean, that's what that was designed for, was to move people east to west. Where when people go up Bethel, they anticipate retail and a lot of in and out.
Feel about this area here,
It's single family.
if we made it,
Well, that's a different discussion.
Okay.
I mean,
And I
we
don't,
can add it later.
You'd have to amend the comprehensive plan to do that. And
I was going to say, right now, we don't want to mess with zoning in our comprehensive plan.
And you can always expand this map later if you initiate a comprehensive plan amendment, but I was only looking at the existing zoning and what's
because that's the
proposed.
area that I think needs to be redeveloped.
I would,
Disagree with you, but
Okay.
it's a much bigger discussion than adding this tool and trying to facilitate activity in areas that we're challenged with.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point though, Fred. I think that is an area that's kind of been, it was developed at a time and we haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to it.
It has proximity, it has transportation.
No, you're absolutely
It,
right.
At one point, there were some areas up there that were really nice,
Yeah,
but that was years ago.
yeah. You can still see some nice houses there,
Mhm.
but they're in the minority.
And Fred, I attended a presentation last week at a Gig Harbor property that a developer wanted to make some major changes to, and he was giving a presentation to
Was it Olympic?
the community.
OPG.
Yeah, and if they're allowed to do this, if they move forward with this, it's going to be an upper scale apartment building. It's going to be an upper scale apartment building, but he's asking for the tax abatement on that also. So it's not just, so he's going to get a much shorter period of tax abatement, but
Like
it's
2 to 3 years.
8 years.
Yeah, 8 years.
Okay.
You know, Fred, though, I think actually you brought up a good point. When I look at the map that was in the Bremerton Code, they didn't show the zoning on the map that they adopted in their code, and so we could just highlight the parcels, and it would be up to the owner of properties to come in and actually apply for the comprehensive plan amendment. And so that would be a way, if you have an area that is currently single family that is, you know, either blighted or just kind of generally run down, you could say, we would like to target this, but it's up to them to do the comp plan amendment process in order
But-
to.
Right, and and I'm really glad Fred brought that up, because that area of town could use an upgrade, an uplift, a facelift. And it also, there's no view blocking there, so that if they went up 4 or 5 stories or whatever the limit is,
So
They
Melcher
could do
south to Tremont and Sydney to Port Orchard Boulevard?
Yeah. Is there
I think that's an option.
transit on Sydney? There is,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
Yes.
there's I don't know what number it is.
Somehow it would have to be in code, wouldn't it, to say that, you know, it's not zoned for this right now, but here's the process. And
Well, and what they do in their heading here is they say that target area, please see details of the plan for allowed locations of multifamily housing. And so it does reference that they need to look more closely at the regulations to ensure that multifamily housing is allowed, but,
So what I was looking, I mean, just to be logical blocks here, we've got, I think this is Melcher. You go
Yeah.
south of Melcher
Yeah,
to
that is
Tremont,
Melcher.
got Sydney, and then Blackjack, or
Porter
Porter
Boulevard.
Boulevard is the, I mean, you've got that way you got a block.
Quadrants, yeah.
yeah, I
And
would,
you've missed Mr. Ness's property.
Which one's he? He's north of Melcher.
I guess my recommendation would be to stay close to the transit line within a comfortable walking distance.
Oh, and that-
So maybe South Street, I mean, this is all walkable though, I mean, it's a few blocks, I mean, maybe go smaller area, south.
But
to Tremont.
transit goes up.
Sydney's here.
Yeah, I would actually suggest that you, we can do this in GIS, you can create a buffer that would be like a quarter mile from Sydney, and we can capture all the parcels that are in that buffer, and then that's, you know, quarter mile is kind of a standard walking distance for transit-oriented development, and just, let's highlight those parcels that are in that proximity to the transit line, and
That can't be. If you put a pen
It may be all
there, I was going to say, I bet.
I mean, you get into critical areas.
well, and
over
then you
here.
would only do the currently single-family
Family, right,
properties, you'd leave the
right.
green belt out.
Right, yeah, of course.
Okay.
I just think that most of that's within a quarter mile
Yeah, you
of
might-
Sydney walking distance.
I mean, we can even back off down to south and make a smaller area to start with. But you're right, this whole area is,
The infrastructures, I mean, that's a way to get infrastructure in there where there currently aren't sidewalks and stormwater facilities.
Mhm.
So what you're saying is you create the framework to allow.
Oh, exactly.
landowners to come in and make.
say, hey, I want to
Go
rezone
through the
this.
legwork to make.
I could see more affordable housing going in that area and more upscale things going on the water or along here.
Yeah, so they get the 12 years up, you know, around Gibbons Field.
I don't think we want to go far down as Gibbons, but, you know, a little farther south, you know, whether it be Melcher or south, one of the two.
Okay.
I'd be comfortable with Melcher. I don't know about you guys.
I can see go up to this roof.
There's some, there's,
Maybe not.
isn't there, new develop,
On west.
no, I
There's
haven't
some
walked there for a
apartments and
while.
stuff in here.
Yeah, yep.
It's.
I mean, I think you do have a playground at Gibbons Field, and so you have an amenity there already, at least, you know,
When you've got a,
some of the blocks abutting it could be included.
Yeah.
and you've got a short
Van
walk
Zee.
to Van Zee
Van Zee,
too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll keep working on the map, and come to city council work study
I
sometime.
think work study,
Maybe
not
June.
this month, next month, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna pass you the map.
But yeah, I would look at that other area if they had another area. What are your others?
Well, my items are pretty easy. I wanted to introduce the committee to a conversation I had with a constituent. I met with a constituent last week, and among the things they wanted to talk about was athletic tournaments as a tourism item. You know, and when Mr. Cartwright was on this committee, he had brought that forward too, whether it's youth soccer tournaments or adult soccer tournaments or fast pitch or whatever it could be. He had just some general numbers that, and I don't know where he got them, but he said for every 12 teams, you generate approximately $75,000 worth of revenue to the city. And so he was bringing that forward as an opportunity for us, and I wanted to share it with this committee. And then where do we, is that something that we want to pursue casually a little bit to try and figure out what the economic development is?
Well, I think-
We've got locations, they all need to be upgraded. I mean,
I don't
there's,
think we do have locations. I think the county has locations.
And some of
And
them
I
are
think
with-
it needs to be a conversation we're having with the county to upgrade, because it's be Jackson and Lund, and it'd be
Retzel.
are the two
Right, and
fields.
we've got, as far as baseball's concerned, we've got the high school field, we've got the Givens Field, we've got Cedar Heights. I don't know if Cedar Heights is, but it's a conversation that we would have to bring in partners, and we'd also want to know what, the economic viability, really is. But again, a citizen went to some effort to do some initial research and bring it to my attention, and so I wanted to say it out loud to this committee. And I guess with that, we'll just kind of start playing with it. Is that what I want to say? Or do some casual checking into it? But Nick was telling us a story before we started, and Bellingham has a great complex.
Yeah,
The-
they got
the
like
state-
15 fields and.
Yeah, the state baseball tournament was there last year, the 4A, and we went up and all of those fields were in use. All of them were in use up there. And go ahead and relate your story.
Yeah, so
Nick.
I used to participate in an adult soccer tournament. It's, I think, the biggest one in the state. And it's like 70 or 80 teams that come there, and it's all adult co-ed and men's and then women's groups. And there's even groups that are over 50 teams, over 50-year-olds. And I worked at a ski and soccer shop at the time at college, and we'd go up there and set up a tent, and we'd be selling all kinds of equipment. And it was one of our biggest days of the year, just going up and serving that tournament. But I think the restaurants and hotels, they all fill up, and those are huge draws. But you got to have the facility for it.
And I think it's somewhat competitive too, because I know the Tri-Cities has a wonderful complex, Pasco has a wonderful complex.
We have one, a smaller
A
scale up north that we use
right.
PD public facilities dollars that put that field in.
Right, and there isn't any reason if we did move forward with this that we're close enough that I believe we could incorporate some of the Silverdale facilities with our facilities. If you're talking, baseball or fast pitch, people drive. But at any rate, a citizen had gone to some effort to bring that to my attention, and so I wanted to say it out loud, and we'll start maybe doing a little more research and see what the opportunities are and then what the challenges are.
I like the idea, and what pops into my mind is that it would be folded into a Parks and Recreation type department, and maybe it's the tail that wags the dog or something.
It could be. I know even out on the Key Peninsula, they have Key Pen Parks, and they have some facilities out there, and they will solicit smaller tournaments.
Yeah.
And
Another one I've gone to is the state bocce ball tournament, and that's a much smaller, takes a lot less area, but it still brings in a whole lot of teams.
yeah, right.
We do have a phenomenal Little League field up there
Correct.
at Gibbons, and typically, at least some of the regional aspects of the tournament are held here on that field, because it is the nicest field, probably as far as I know around
Right, no,
here,
exactly.
for that Little League field, which is a smaller field and
Right.
shorter base paths than a full-size
Right.
baseball field.
Right.
I like the idea. The only thing I see for Port Orchard is our beds. We don't have the facilities.
Well, we don't have the fields either.
We have there's
Go.
but we have the
It's a lot
potential.
easier to put up a field than beds.
We have the potential of some fields,
Yeah, but they are county owned.
but they are county owned. But
This is going to be this is going to be a conversation
Partnership.
with county.
yeah, and it may be a smaller scale than 70 teams. Maybe you bring in a dozen. I mean, there's any
It's small,
opportunities,
yeah.
but again, it's something that now's on our radar, and we should.
We're going to have by the end of the summer, we'll have a nice soccer field at Fancy. I mean, we're putting in proper irrigation now. They're going to put seed and soil down this spring. The soccer club, that it's really, they're using it as a practice, but there's really
Yeah,
a
it's
lack
not
of.
regular. I don't think it's a regulation
It doesn't
size.
It isn't big enough.
I don't think so. No, but they are leveling it to make it as a good practice facility, and they could have, small kids play there certainly.
Can you? Well, I won't go there because I don't know much about soccer. But I know my niece played when she was in Arizona, and she was on a couple teams. But one of them had a reduced number of players. How many is usually on a soccer team?
11
and
aside.
she played like 5 or 7 or
So
something.
indoor is usually 6 per side, and And then they also have something called futsal, which is like a really compact field that has very small goals and is popular in Seattle, but I think it's bigger in South America and other places.
Anyway, I think there's some opportunities. We've got that on our radar, and I appreciated the citizen coming forward. And the citizen also asked me, he came with a map and a drawing. So, I mean, this wasn't a casual meeting, and he wanted to know if we had considered a trolley from the foot of Port Orchard Boulevard into West Bay, going back and forth and doing a parking structure down at the foot of Port Orchard Boulevard. So anyway, Citizen had done some work, and anyway, I was very pleased to meet with him. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is just again a discussion point, is a policy, and it can be, when I say policy or guidelines, it doesn't have to be complex. It can be, these things can be relatively simple. But for use of our parking lot, and I would prefer to see us be proactive rather than reactionary. And
You're talking about the waterfront?
I'm talking about the waterfront parking lot. And we had a situation this spring where Fathoms of Fun wanted to put a carnival down there, and we were displacing the traffic, so we approved it, but they had to have a traffic mitigation plan, and they were unsuccessful doing it. And I was thinking, I didn't know whether that sat with this committee, sat with land use, or whether it should just be an ad hoc committee, and we come together with some ideas and then bring it back to staff to, put it together. And I thought we should probably include the port in some of those discussions, because most of the activity down there also includes the gazebo area. And I just wondered, I would much prefer us to be proactive than reactionary.
I think we should take first stab at it as the council, but then we need to bring the port into the conversation as we start.
So I guess what my question today is how do we want to move forward with
It
this?
sounds like, I might make more sense at land use, but if nobody there is passionate about doing anything about it, it'll sit there and languish. If you're wanting to deal with it.
I think it should be our committee.
It must more have to get done
Done.
if you're passionate about wanting to see it get done.
Okay.
We could defer to them, but I think our committee and policy is the right word. It's not so much what we own, it's like how we communicate.
How we're gonna manage it.
Yeah.
Right,
Let
how we're
people
gonna
know
manage
what
it,
our
yeah.
expectations are if they want to.
I mean, you have a daily parking rate. One of your policies could be that they pay the daily rate for each spot that they reserve, and if you take the whole parking lot, you could close off the lanes as well.
The other thing, I've had some casual conversations with merchants downtown about that parking, and there shouldn't be any commuter parking or whatever. But we want to, when we think about that, we want to remember it's keeping those cars off of the highway going into through Gorse too. So and that's a real important element. If you've got 80 to 100 cars down there, they're all going to go that way and they're all going to come back. And our Gorse corridor is a major focal point of transportation right now. And so it's important for us to remember that that parking isn't just for the convenience of people. That parking is doing some of the transportation things for us.
TransTac that met last week, right? Mark's
Yes.
group. The South County Park and Ride study is recommended
For that.
For that. That's the long-term solution. The short-term solution is, and I'm pushing John
Right.
and Stephanie on this, is a couple of church parking lots and getting 40 to 60 stalls in those church parking, because the church parking lot stalls sit empty all week long.
Right.
And to incrementally move some of that parking off the waterfront to these church parking lots until we build a proper park and ride lot where that, maybe whether it's on Tremont or Sedgwick.
We also have people that are not going to use a park and ride lot. They're not, your commuters the people that go to the Navy, the shipyard every day, the people that travel to Seattle every day, I can see them understanding the park and ride lot and getting in the bus and going down here and taking the foot ferry. Those people that go to Seattle once or twice a month, you know, we can't have them,
No, there needs to be
Right.
some.
There needs to be some.
There's 100 stalls down there right
Right.
now. There probably needs to be 40.
whatever that is.
You know,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I'm talking about taking it down to 60 in what I was proposing.
Right.
So
We have that parking issue. We also have the use of, of the lot. I personally like the farmer's market down there on Saturdays. That's a long-established event, and they seem to be successful. And then Sunday afternoons, I can see that parking lot has a lot of opportunity to bring people downtown on Sunday afternoons. I personally have concerns about week-long things there, even if they're paying us a per-day fee, because I think it disrupts downtown completely. So,
Well, that's a good discussion item because we would not want to give up all the parking for, even if somebody wanted, because then it's displacing the merchants' customers' parking, and I think we have to be sensitive to that.
I think carving some of it off and making it green is a component of it, and I think taking another component, slice off of that and making it more short-term parking is that's what our businesses need. In particular, as downtown redevelops, and if those property owners behind the Myries building recapture their property, we're going to need to create more short-term parking in the other lot that we own versus commuter parking.
Commuter parking is no different than having an event, because, or we call an event, them occupying their parking places, they're not there to shop necessarily with merchants. So short-term parking is really important down here. And it's great to be able to go downtown and find a parking spot. You can easily do it. I don't understand the argument that there isn't parking.
Signage.
It's,
yeah,
There's
no,
no-
I
there's no
agree
where it's
with you,
at.
except for on farmer's market days. I never have a problem finding a place to
It's
park.
just finding it, knowing where it's at.
Yeah. So how do we want to move forward if we're going to take that on within this
I think we
committee?
just solved it.
Okay.
You just did.
Nick's just got to write a policy.
See, I'm really in favor of
I like-
Sunday afternoons, and we do something else for weekdays. Again, I want to be proactive. I don't want.
I think it's going to be it's economic. The first step in that is, if you're going to close it all week long, here's the revenue that's generated, and here's the charge per stall. How much area do you need?
Get your checkbook.
You know, it's an economics.
There's free parking on Sundays.
And so the events can happen on Saturday and Sunday down there because they're not impacting our revenue. Because that was the argument with the
And
council.
but what about if they do want to take it for the full week and they're willing to pay the $2,000 or whatever it is? But we wouldn't do that based on our current revenue. We would do it on potential revenue for each stall.
Yeah, I think you, whatever your rate structure is at the time, you charge that, and you already have that policy in place.
And maybe we help pay, we take that, well, I hate to see us taking our money and paying for more bus service for being convenient.
No, I think they
No,
should
but
do
then,
it.
but I also believe in the parking mitigation. Either we have to come up with a parking mitigation plan,
menu.
or
They do.
or they do.
And I think as far as the commuters go, if we are going to allow this, maybe our policy is that we don't allow people to prepay for their parking for, I mean,
Yeah. We're
That's
talking
a
about,
component of
we're
it.
talking about doing away with the monthly pass, and the longest you're gonna be able to buy for is a week
yeah.
at a time.
So that at least allows you to manage it.
Okay, regardless of that, if I work in Seattle and I'm used to buying a monthly pass, and now you're going to say you can't buy a monthly pass, I can buy a weekly pass, I'm still going to do that, okay?
Yeah.
And you're still disrupting me.
Yeah.
And so where am I going to park? I don't think that, if I've been doing this for a couple of years, I don't think it's right that the city just say, okay, for this week, find another place. I think we should have
Provide a place.
a plan B available.
A menu that they can choose from, different options that's already
Yeah.
thought through.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
letting
I-
them come up with each point and having to, debate it.
But the problem with that is we don't own that.
We don't have the location.
We don't have a lot
Right.
somewhere else.
Well, we're
You can
talking
have a
about-
menu, but what's on your menu?
Well, your plans to, for park and rides.
Yeah, but those are, the problem is, I'm gonna get rid of those 60 stalls and I'm gonna fill those stalls.
That's during the week too, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
a
and I-
good question to look around because
Mhm.
maybe there's spots at Kitsap Bank we could rent.
I think the economics of it are gonna solve it.
Okay.
I
You think that that's just,
I think,
yeah.
I think it'll solve
Okay.
the issue that we won't have requests for weekday events because it's gonna cost you
Yeah, it's not free.
2,000 bucks, it's not free.
Yeah.
Right.
It's gonna cost you 2,000 bucks a week.
But I think it's gonna be more, because I don't think all of those slots are filled every single day, and we average 2,000 a week. I bet if you actually took the number of stalls and multiplied it, if they were full all day, that it will be higher.
Well, and it depends on how much of the lot they want. You just gotta
Correct.
pay for what they use.
And it has to be in logical blocks so that they're taking it.
Correct.
But I think even so, if someone's gonna be reserving 2/3 of the lot, then you still have to find some alternative place for people not just when the whole lot's taken. There's some trip threshold where there's gotta be some alternative.
In the summer, another option would potentially be the school district, and they actually own buses. They could potentially deal with the parking and the busing if we had some sort of pre-planned structure with them, but that would only be when
Like the
schools
high,
are
the
special.
high, yeah, the
Like
high
the high
school
school.
parking lot in particular, yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a transit bus stop right in front of the high school parking lot. In fact, there are 2 bus stops, one on each end of the high school.
There's the county parking on the other side of the jail that they never use. And I say that facetiously, but it's south of Division.
I didn't know there was parking there. though.
That gravel area.
They have
Right
some
behind the
lots
jail?
there.
Is that the one behind
Yeah.
the jail you're talking about?
Yeah. That is a separate issue, but I believe that's underutilized.
So in our policy, are we going to not only charge them, but ask them to do some traffic, or some parking mitigation?
That's part of it, you almost have to do that.
I would think that would be right, yes. They
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can talk to Tom Adams at the school district and say, for end of school through start of school, what would it cost you to run a bus for 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening from the high school down to the ferry and to use the lot? And can we get some sort of agreement for that during those days?
And then whatever, and then if someone wanted to use it, then we would pull that card out.
Yeah. Or better yet, the carnival can locate at the high school parking lot.
They had asked to use the new field.
Oh, really?
I was there when Sharon King asked Michelle Reed if they could put the carnival on that new field.
Wow.
You were there?
It was the day they blessed it or whatever, and, yeah, and Sharon thought that'd be a great place for the carnival. And
I'm willing to bet that they
It probably would be.
didn't want, yeah, not,
Would be the best place for football thereafter.
it wouldn't be a good place for football thereafter, though, that's right.
Yeah.
As long as they restored to the order and in which
It was,
condition it was.
Michelle was so graceful.
Yeah.
She's very good at that.
So. Is there anything else that we needed to discuss today?
What do you think of Airbnb? Do we have a position to?
What are the rules on Airbnbs?
Theoretically, you'd have to have a business license, but it's very hard. We're not going on to Airbnb and looking at what's available or following up on that. I don't think it has not come to my attention that we have a problem. I know that some communities, like the mountains in Colorado or Montana, have major issues because the housing stock for people who would work there is being consumed by renters. But
Well, it could be something that we use if and when we have events that we're saying we have a shortage of beds in town.
Well,
Maybe
the market would take care of itself. We don't want to track, I mean, we don't
No,
have the
but
resources.
is this something we'd want to encourage? Like we can say, if you have a spare bedroom,
I think really the key is, do they have a business license and are they paying their excise tax, which some of that, I think, comes back
And
to
it's
the city.
difficult for us to encourage it if they don't have,
Are we concerned about parking?
it would be downtown.
I mean, we have parking standards for our residential units, and
Yes,
so
parking.
unless it's something that was built prior to a standard or that does not have any parking. And
I'll
if there-
get
if there is a
specific.
downtown, yeah.
I could use my basement that way. And so,
visitor parking.
and then the question, and then my concern was, what regulations do I have to
Yeah,
use?
it is not something we have tackled in Port Orchard.
Okay. Because
I
it has
think
not
we-
been,
Yeah, I think we should encourage it, assuming that we're getting a portion of something.
There's no
And
way
we-
for it.
I think we have,
Don't they charge sales tax or?
Well, they just do it. They don't.
I think in the absence of a problem that we perceive, our resources are better spent elsewhere right now. Either for encouraging it or regulating it, I think it's not a priority until we see it as a problem.
Well, I just wonder because I had a very brief conversation with Alan, and one of the things that I've always thought we need to do is we need to promote our local brick and mortar stores because they're bringing the sales tax revenue. Well, ironically, if someone's ordering through Amazon, they are charged sales tax, and the city is getting a portion of the sales tax if it's delivered to their address in the city. So you could argue that web sales are bringing in the same amount of sales tax as our local brick and mortar stores.
Depends on the company, though.
I don't want to make this argument, but I'm just thinking, I'm thinking out
Well,
loud.
an article I was just reading last week was, so the 70s, late 70s and 80s, the creation of the malls killed downtown communities, ours,
Right.
Bremerton's,
Everybody's,
everybody's. Now, internet sales are killing the malls.
correct.
Retailers left and right are filing bankruptcy, in the malls, and they're having difficulty attracting tenants to the malls.
That's why Tacoma passed tax abatement and they have multifamily housing being built at the mall. It's because they're trying to find a better use of that property.
Converting them all to housing units?
They have
Around
apartments
it,
in
yeah.
the Tacoma Mall parking lot now that are, that were tax abatement projects.
And that's what is the logical redevelopment of our South Kitsap Mall is, hopefully there's some retail to it, but it's most likely multifamily. Because, who knows what the future is gonna hold, but it appears that's, it's expensive taxes, it's expensive, there's a lot of overhead to a mall structure.
My
Fewer people are
concern,
going to it.
or what I don't want us to lose sight of, is the way growth management is, the way the county's structuring their comprehensive plan, with the cost of properties in our neighbors, be it Gig Harbor or Paulsbo in the north end, we are going to experience a great deal of residential growth. And we need also to be able to capture as best we can that sales tax revenue from those. We have to be able to provide their goods and services. So how do we do that? How do we make sure we have room for another box store or whatever it is? And we are going to become denser. And so we are going to see, like you said, the South Kitsap Mall, perhaps apartments and apartments behind it.
They can have a view if they go high enough.
Yeah, but we have to make sure that that they don't get on Highway 16 to do most of their shopping.
That's why we need Tremont and Sedgwick improved.
Correct, correct.
So you can get from side to side in our community and where you live.
And that we make sure when we look at that map that there's, that
Yeah,
there
that you
are,
can walk to your, I was just talking to a buddy of mine, his son is living there, those apartments by the Y in Gig Harbor North, and they love it because they're,
okay, right,
they're walking to Costco, they're walking
right.
They're walking everywhere, and
Mhm.
that's what I hope we're gonna create with this abatement process, is the ability to live and, shop within
Mhm.
short
Walking
distance,
distance.
walking distance.
Mhm.
You utilize transit.
I guess on a related note, and maybe this is another agenda item, but I did want to let you all know that we met with the developer of McCormick Woods, who has started his earthwork on phase 5, parcel B. But we've talked about what's going to happen on Old Clifton, because they're starting to plan the McCormick West, coming in with their first phase on that. And we've talked about the need to do a corridor study on Old Clifton, because Mark is already working on getting somebody on board to do the design for the Anderson Hill roundabout. If the school bond had passed, we were talking about Figley Road, and then also there's one at Campus Parkway. And I brought it to their attention. I said, look, if you're doing the corridor study, we really need to look at the sub-area plan and the land use that goes along with the transportation improvements. And so they might actually be willing to fund the sub-area plan out there, so that there's, they're going out to the community, getting buy-in from the people who already live there, and they're also having their own influence on what they're going to be able to build and what facilities are needed to serve that. And I think it would be a really good approach to coming up with a plan for that. The area north of Old Clifton, between Figley and Campus Parkway, and the existing park, especially coming up with land use plans for how that might develop. Because that was supposed to be the village center part
Right.
of the original master plan. So
But I think that we can't lose sight of those sub-area plans, and I think that we need
This
to.
would be nice if they're coming forward with development, and if they want to jumpstart that plan ahead of
Exactly.
the others and are willing to pay for it, hey, knock
You got
yourself
that.
out.
Right. But I think that when we look at this tax abatement and you start looking at these things, you realize how critical those sub-area plans are.
Yes.
Could we
And
get
the centers.
more independent funding for the other sub-area plans? I don't know
Somebody
how
wants
we
to-
do that. Could
Well,
we?
somebody wanting to come forward with a project in that area and
Yeah.
saying, hey,
yeah, I think, the ownership is really fragmented in the other areas. There's no one person who's going to drive it.
Could we sell naming rights or something?
No, but that's a key. That is
The
truly a
ownership,
key.
yeah.
Yeah, is the ownership. And when
They've aggregated
the
those.
mayor talked about Gig Harbor North, that was one ownership group. And, and they planned the whole thing. And so that really makes a huge difference.
I think one good thing that could come out of that too is if they hire the consultant who does this, they're going to put together all the templates, they're going to lay out a process for us, and so we can reuse that process and it's successful and kind of follow it on the next areas. So yeah, hopefully that'll, if they are going to go forward with McCormick West, obviously that's a lot more houses, and they would want to capture, the commercial aspect of that as a private landholder, as well as, us getting sales tax revenue.
And so that would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else that we'd like to talk about this morning? Now that Clancy's figured out that water trails are...
Water trails are on the water.
All of a sudden you realize how obvious some things are. There's no words.
We've had problems with DVD players, if there's a chance that it fails.
I'll be sure to highlight
Yeah.
the minutes.
For future.
We had,
Oh, yeah.
Just a second, I want to,
An
Carrie,
aha
I want to
moment.
thank you for the minutes. I really appreciated the promptness and the summary type minutes. I think they're excellent.
Thank you for the guidance on how you guys have to see it too. So,
Yeah.
thanks.
Can we add like Mile Hill maybe to a future?
Sure.
I'm concerned that it's going to become neglected.
well, we only own to
To
west, only on one side and to the armory on the other.
But I'm still,
Or we don't
I
own
think
it,
that's
I mean,
part of the problem
The
of.
city limits.
You know,
It
I'm
goes to
just-
the armory on one side, and the other side it's
The
past
theater.
past the movie theater.
Yeah, I would say it's past the-
Arvik. It's actually Arvik. I think
Yeah, it's
is-
past the movie theater.